Welcome back, beautifuls. Welcome to the Feminine Leadership Summit. Ah, really excited and honored to introduce you today to Shona Keeli, another Aussie sister. Shona is the founder of the Rose Lineage Mystery School, the home of the Venetian temple arts, and she is a mother priestess, Rose Empress initiator, and gifted womb oracle. She is present in this time of awakening to support the unfoldment of your divine expression and exploration of your inner power through your rose womb heart. By remembering how to practice and embody supreme self-love, you are opening the doors for a magical manifestation of your life. I'm here, she's here, Shona's here, and we're here
We're both here
to support you to awaken to the throne of your inner queendom. Welcome, Shona.
We definitely are both here for that reason. Bless you, love.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Thank you for having me here. I was just sharing just before we jumped on of like how I'm in this really vulnerable like process right now, and it's I'm not really saying yes to many conversations, but with Lily, of course, yes, and sisters that are really near and dear to me, and that have this way of like holding me through that. I'm so here, and this is something that I'm really passionate about, so I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm passionate about all the phases of it. I feel like that's what I love about what you're doing is I can feel there's a multi-dimensional space that you're holding for this feminine leadership and not just the front of it. So thank you, because vulnerability and the chrysalis process is a huge part of that. And anyone who is currently sharing from their wildest heart's desire and their womb-centered creation, we know that it takes a lot of courage, and it isn't for everybody, and it does take a lot of listening to those ebbs and those flows, whether you are in a place of sharing or in a place of going back in, or maybe you're giving death to some pieces. It's definitely a full spectrum journey. So thank you for having me here in this little intricate space of cocooning.
So such a pleasure. Such a pleasure, Shona. So just to kind of dive in, for anybody that is new to meeting you and your work right now, will you share whatever feels resonant to come through, just a little bit more about your own kind of personal journey of how you got here to be doing what you're doing?
It would be my honor. And it's really powerful right now as I work deeply with the medicine of the rose, obviously, and I'm at this space and place right now of really crystallizing this relationship between my maiden and my mother. I became a mother a couple of 2.5 years ago, and it's been really powerful. And I'm in this place right now of like mothering the mother again in myself to the degree of what I want to mother in certain ways that feels good for me. I've had like a huge like realignment and connection to the Divine Mother since becoming a mother. I'm so grateful. And really what's happening right now is I'm finishing off a manuscript that's been 2.5 years I've been writing it now. So since I had Ishvara, I've been writing this manuscript, my son Ishvara. And I hold space for this energetic imprint of remembrance, because really like the women who are of the rose lineage or of the rose line, it's not like I can give you that initiation. I can hold space for you to come back into that for yourself. It's a realignment and a remembrance of these key codes of the rose, which is to me, in my remembrance and, in this journey is the key code of life. It's the life of the rose when we're in that process of seeding it in, and we're allowing it to be watered by the nectar of our own juices, of our own sensuality, our own connection to source, our own love, our own tears, our own sadness, our own emotions, and we're allowing it to bud into the next evolution of ourselves. And it's really it's a temple tending that these teachings have taught me, and it's what I'm here to hold space for other women to do so that we can come into that process of blooming, and we can appreciate every stage. And so I was sharing I'm in this little intricate space right now, because I've been given these amazing key codes of, you know, connection to sensuality, and of course that's been my journey as well. You know, we teach what we most need to move through, and really it's been such a blessing because this is from my lineage, even like the present lineage. My grandmother, you know, I don't remember her from any other ways except for roses. And she was royal and regal, and actually don't know her very well. And what sort of sparked this whole remembrance for me was having my son, but also her son dying. Her son, he passed away. He actually got murdered. And I was then able to feel something in my lineage line of like this remembrance piece. And it's been like really powerful for me because it's just encapsulated everything of why I'm even here. I'm in Kauai. I live in Kauai, but I'm from Australia, and so everything's sort of making sense now in this still point. What I do is I work with women one-on-one and offer rose womb heart connections and healing between the body. So I work with the heart and the womb, and this creates a platform of union in the body so that we can awaken our wildest heart's desire and use that energy to then seed it in the womb and allow that to actually grow into our life. And so that's all sort of the first stage of like getting to know me. And then the next stage is the deeper pieces of the sexual rerouting, the sexual energy rerouting, which is the deeper work with the yoni work, which I call the Rose Empress initiation. So it's really like taking the throne, doing our deep lineage work, and sitting upon that throne of the traumas, of the pain, of the pleasure, of all of the whole conceptual journey of what it means to be human and what it means to be, you know, in this physical body temple. And so these are the Venetian temple arts. They're from Lady Venus, from my beloved Venus Rose Queen. And this has been such a blessing. I've literally been like stranded in paradise, you know, since having a baby, which I laugh about now, but it's been a big journey. You know, I haven't been able to leave Kauai having a baby and not able to go home, and, you know, citizenship journeys are underway. And yeah, it's been a blessing to anchor these pieces in and really be with that. And, you know, just as you know, Venus goes into the underworld, you know, we do need to create more spaciousness for all those parts of ourselves. So I definitely feel like I support women to, you know, dance with their darkness and work with their shadow, because that's what we get met with when we go in our body. We actually get met with the void, you know, the darkness, the velvety void magic. So yeah, there's many pieces that are crystallizing right now, and I'm finishing off the manuscript and updating everything. And it's just a blessing to be here, you know, because I just feel like there's so much that I could share in this moment in time, but there's obviously so much that's shifting too. But my favorite way to work with women, you know, is one-on-one like that in the sessions, or, you know, in person teaching these practices, because they're not just my teachings, like they're not even mine. They're ours. They're a temple template that we can reactivate and then tend in our bodies. So my favorite thing is like to do that for a woman one-on-one, to empower her and then, you know, support her to bring this into her life every day. So that's what the manuscript's working on right now, is putting that in the hands of every woman who is willing to walk that way of the rose. And then also, you know, deepening into the aspect that, you know, we are, as we remember, as priestesses, we didn't do this alone. You know, we didn't do this alone. You know, we never left the temples and expected anything outside of the temples, you know, to sustain us. It was a sovereign piece, you know, our bodies being the temples, the sovereignty, and our sisters, you know, remembering that piece of trust and safety and sacredness inside the body, but also in the body of what, you know, we're tending as well outside of ourselves. So really passionate about that. It's something that's been a really big journey for me, and it's just like what I'm most passionate about. So yeah, it's an honor to carry those key codes and to reactivate them within the other Sisters of the Rose. So yeah.
Yummy.
It is really yummy.
Yes.
Super yummy.
It's
Even the crystal degree was like, the crystal like jumped off.
It's such
Yeah.
I remember when I was going through my kind of first like tantric women's you know, red kind of lineage, rose lineage training, where women were giving each other breast massages, and was in this room full of women giving each other breast massages. And in our like, kind of twisted culture, there might be a view of like, oh, the lesbians, or, whatever that is. But I just remember having like that full remembrance of like how we've been doing this for centuries, how we were doing this in temples long ago to heal each other, to come back into wholeness and connection with the wisdom of our bodies, our divinity that like speaks through our bodies, and the power of that sisterhood, the power of that healing. So, and it's really, really deep work. So I just really acknowledge you and appreciate you, and like kiss your feet for the work that you do, the call that you've answered. There's a lot of self-care that is needed.
There is a lot, and that's I want to touch base on what you just said. One, I just had the most beautiful memory just then of doing breast massage on you at Sisterhood of the Rose retreat. I saw that whole memory come through, and I was like, yes. And yeah, it's like so important, and I have to be like really like, I mean, the main reason I'm doing this and I'm up leveling it to the next level is because I want to receive these healings. I'm at this place where like I'm training women now and to be able to do what I do, because I'm so like I'm so like, I need this, in this way, and like there's so much, medicine and in our own individual journeys. And I'm so curious of how to pass this over and see what happens. And it's like been a blessing. And there's been obviously a lot of, confronting pieces about that, because we attach to things like they're ours. And this whole year has been so powerful to really like look at those pieces of identifying. And it's been so powerful because I feel like free of that piece, which is a big piece for the sisterhood, where we feel like this is ours, or like the sensual, like it's a very huge piece where we want, we want to grab things and obtain them. And I mean, I keep referring to this lately, is like, have you heard of that company, Venus Fleur? It's like, they literally like have real roses and then they encapsulate them in some sort of lacquer, so they like last forever. And I keep referring to that with my clients right now, because we're in this generation of where we have hybrids, so the roses don't have thorns. So we're lacquering up and we're freezing the roses in the most beautiful form. But we're missing what that real medicine is of the rose, which can be destructive, which can be death. It can be like, you have to fucking let this die. The most beautiful times where I love roses is when I literally just let them die in like laying down, and they like keep their form. And I just feel, like this is a big piece for our generation. And I'm currently studying to be a death doula right now. And it's like this island I live on, Kauai, carries the huge Kiko medicines of like life and death. It has a portal for life that even the Dalai Lama has come here to visit, and then a portal for death. And it's like this island has that very like interesting energy of like the death of like the ego and like the mind. They say it's like the crown chakra of the planet. And I've definitely been through that, and you have to go through that to really like receive this. And it's been such a blessing. And I also just feel like it's part of our remembrance piece too. I can't remember the last piece I was going to touch on, but pretty much just like how powerful that is, like to be even in a place to be receptive to that. And the consciousness that we're going through, I don't feel like is sustainable in the way of pleasure and beauty and connection, and and the other side too, end of destruction, and possibly like trauma, and death and the war. It's like Venus really is that full spectrum goddess. We focus on her so much as like sensuality, love, and beauty. She's also like the goddess of destruction and like war and jealousy. Like she has a flip side, and she wants that to be known. Like I feel like more than ever, she's like, you cannot have one without the other.
Or you can't deny those pieces in us, right? You can't like just chop off our thorns and pretend that like we're only this.
They're trying to bring the thorns out and freeze the roses in their most beautiful stage. But no, I feel like it's a full honoring, and of course, like this is why, like, this is why I feel called to action for this, is because I was stuck in it for so long. And I have been, up until honestly like a few months ago, like to a degree of where I was actually suffering in it. I recently received a key code initiation on my back, like a tattoo initiation from another Sophia, from a beloved sister, Ania Sophia, from the Garden of Arnia. And look her up. Her like key codes, they're also behind me just here, and I'm sitting on them as well. And her key codes just do something, because this English language is like very, very like stifling, and like it's not full spectrum, and we need to look for new ways to also communicate and move through these blocks. And that's why I love working with the body, because I don't speak in my sessions. There is a different language that comes through there. Our body wants this whole new rebirth of language that is like, it's just beckoning, like, give me this new language of love and of spaciousness to be held in whatever the fuck it is we're going through. And I say that with the swear word, because it's like, I just feel like there isn't enough spaciousness for us claiming all of this being sacred. And I recently got this key code on my back, and I've been wanting to work with her for like 3.5 years, since I went deep into a process that I'm just coming out of. And it's really like, in my vision, it told me that I would get this, and the water in my body, the cells would start to like purify this piece. And it has, like, it started to really do that for myself. And it's the key code of sensuality. And she works, I'm not going to go into it because I'll probably butcher it, because it's not my art, but from my personal experience, it's a genetic key code upgrade to connect to like 5D, but also to like free the body from karma. Because like how we relate to karma, or how we relate to trauma, and how we relate to our stories, it's like, it's all a story, it's an illusion. And if we can step out of that, the body already steps out of that. Like, but if we can step out of it in our minds and, be genetically like cleared from that through our DNA, that's how we do this real work. And that's how I believe like the womb work and the rose lineage work does that for our lineage line. And then that brings in the whole discernment and the boundaries, and like the black rose teachings and the pieces of where we need to look at. I love how we have swords here and I got swords here, because these things are important too. So, it is full spectrum, and obviously like it's a big part of this journey of being, a womb-centered woman and a leader, is like holding your own counsel, which is big.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for honoring the shadows and really the death and all of the pieces of our humanity that is also divine. Yeah. And I was just kind of remembering back when you were talking about the mother and mothering yourself, and then training others, passing on this wisdom, this lineage, so that you can then again receive. And like, just in your bio that I read out when I said when it read supreme self-love. And self-love is such a term that has been thrown around so much in the spiritual, whatever, conscious kind of community. But when I read it, I was like reminded again, that self-love, that self-care, just like, it's everything. And when you do that, when you learn to truly reparent yourself, truly be able to like hold your own counsel, as you said, things unfold.
Priceless.
Life unfolds.
It's priceless.
Priceless.
Like a priceless key code initiation. And that's why, like, I'm even like, I'm laughing, but like, I mean, I'm laughing right now because I've just been like so deep in this, and I'm laughing because it's like all you can do at some points,
right?
You're
freaking out.
It's like
all you can do.
I'm just gonna laugh. But even in the current journey I'm in right now, of relating, of being a mother, and and just even before I got on this call, it was like this reminder of like, we have to do that piece for ourselves, because it's like, I mean, I'll share from a vulnerable place with this. I really, really, really like, I'm so like, I have such deep reverence for mothers and like young mothers, and like honestly, any mother that's having a baby before her Saturn return, bless your soul. You know, it's like I'm in my Saturn return, and like I was, you know, warned about it and told many things, but you know, you can never really know till you're in it, because it's your Saturn return. It's your Saturn return. And it's like, you know, I had my baby in my Saturn return. I've like been in the most committed relationship. I've been in like like so much intensity in my Saturn return, which is, you know, the Shakti pot of the purification. But it's like, you know, to hold your own counsel and to like really refine yourself within that journey and do these pieces is, it's like, it's really how, you know, it's how we're made and how we're formed. It's how we really do that work. But it's like, of course, there are so many pieces to the vulnerability around that. And of course, like, I wish I was in a different place when I had my baby. You know, I wish I did more work with my inner child. I wish that was more grounded in, you know, in like who I was. But, you know, it's all perfect and it is what it is. And the reality of that is like, you know, coming through this interesting other side of it now and receiving this Kiko to my back, it's just been like, you know, I like I said, I'm not really speaking much about it because it's still integrating, but the reality is what I'm trying to share from this is like the body always knows. It's like the main thing I'm hearing and feeling and understanding is that like, you know, these Venetian temple arts, this rose medicine, they're all embodiment pieces. And of course, I never teach anything that to someone else I don't feel like I've actually crystallized and embodied in, but we're obviously going through new evolutions of it all the time. And it's been really beautiful because, you know, like I remember like 3.5 years ago when I first entered into the relationship that I'm in and prepared for this whole journey of motherhood, like I consciously, I did know what was happening. I had Ishvara's name tatted on my side, and I knew he was going to come at the certain age that he did. I've always received transmissions from my body like that since I was like young. And this is where the gifted womb oracle piece comes from, is like when I was like, I think like 12, 13, 14, I started to hear voices and I thought I was going crazy. And this is where, you know, I lost my virginity at a young age and like had a really huge piece around like sexual like power loss and power struggles. But because of that, I got initiated into this interesting relationship with my body where I could hear like my womb speaking in different languages and hear other people's wombs. And I've had that happening my whole life, but not until I was, you know, in my late teens did I learn how like, oh, wow, this is actually valuable. And like, you know, and then I went through an abortion process and I realized this is like my medicine for people. And this is what, you know, I'm here to do to a degree. But why I'm sharing that is like, I remember when I entered this interesting initiation that I have been in and I'm just closing up right now, is where I found Ania, this woman, straight away. I found her like 2 days after I entered this initiation, and my body told me that, you know, you would need a key code from this woman to move through this part. And then here we are 3.5 years later. And so what I'm sharing is that like, if you have like and it doesn't have to be a voice, it can be a sound, it can be an emotion, it can be a feeling. It's like, it's not about the English language. It's about a vibration and a feeling. It's like the warmth, the texture, the sensation, the vibration, the light, the sound. It's like our body doesn't communicate through the English language. Sometimes they do, but if they do, it's usually in a riddle. And the womb really wants to be understood, and the heart really wants to, you know, be held. And I say that the womb wants to be understood because she does. She's like blaring out like the most ancient wisdom. She's like, the full temple is within. And then the heart's just wanting, you know, to be held in that softness and that peace of like, you know, that it's okay. And that, you know, that it's okay that we haven't done this work. Here's your gateway into this work. Here's your inner child. Here's your open heart. Here's your centered womb. And it's just like, you know, I always just laugh about it because it's like, I remember when I entered this and all this is happening now. And it's such a blessing to listen, you know, and right now, you know, being a mother, it's like, I'm actually doing some of the deepest work of my inner child work, of course, because he's right in front of me and he's reflecting everything to me. And I'm currently reading this book right now called Listen, and it's really powerful. It's like some of the most simple yet intricate parenting I've ever come across. And I wish that every parent, and if you're a mom on here, look up Listen Hand in Hand Parenting. It's insane. I've like done like 3 chapters and I'm like, whoa. And you know, and even for myself too, I'm just like, okay, like that's all I've really ever needed is like
Mm.
is that piece. And listening looks different to every individual.
Mm.
um yeah, I just feel like it's so powerful, you know, like when you can follow through with that too, and just be gentle to the process, because it's not going to be like, okay, got this and here it is. It's like we have this like illusion in this reality right now of like that this happens and then this happens. It's like, no, it's non-linear, and like we're going through so many different dimensions and cycles and shifts and changes, and we need to just really honor that that's really where it's at. And it can keep happening every moment, but we just need to keep holding that counsel, keep holding that inner counsel, and listening, you know, to what it is that, you know. And again, like I always tell my clients and the sisters that I work with, and you know, and myself, it's like the sound between the sound, and it's like the movement between the movement is really where you'll find that.
Mm.
And you know, like it's like that still point of immaculate conception that I speak about so much with my trainings right now, is like it is a still point, and then there's a point where you can immaculately like conceive anything or give death to anything, or there's just this still point. And yeah, you could, it's spoken about in meditation, it's spoken about a lot with stillness. But for this generational field, I feel like we still need movement, and we still need something, because the chatter is so thick right now with the consciousness, that it's like it's not as easy it is as like a monk sitting in a mountain with no other auric fields around him. And so, you know, these Venetian temple arts, and what I do is it is a moving piece where you can have more than one thing. And of course it simplifies and it gets more direct as you move into it, but it's like some people need more than that, and some people really don't experience that unless they're really deeply anchored in safety in their body.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a lifelong journey as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I just feel, yeah, I feel really blessed, you know, to have that. And also it's like, for me, that's called leading from vulnerability. You know, that's called leading from a place where like I'm so vulnerable, but it's okay. I'm still going to listen to that and like be with that piece of myself. And that's really, you know, a lot of the work that you know, that you do as well, you know, with the inner child work is like so important to ever be available for someone else to help them through anything, you know. So yeah, bless, you know, this role into mother priestess is really actually the reclaiming that I'm going through right now. I feel like I actually only just have started to feel really like a mother. And I think that many mothers speak about this, and it's really since like solstice last year, I actually like have entered into this new portal, and that's what I've started like finishing off the manuscript, channeling the last pieces, and also deciding to only work with people really, you know, in small containers and really internally, and not sharing it so outwardly like I used to a lot too. So it's like
So powerful, Mama.
it's been a journey.
So many pieces. I'm just like really wanting kind of to say again, like just the non-linear language of our body, of our womb, of our heart, and the deep listening on another kind of subtle level. And it doesn't even have to be so like I can kind of hear some people being like, well, I don't hear, you know, the womb speak or whatever it is. And it's like, but you are also speaking to, like, it can be so simple, like the sensations, listening to the breath, feeling the breath move, feeling hot, feeling cold on the skin, feeling, you know, just what it feels like to have your hands on your womb or your heart, feeling into the subtle layers between the breath or between the movement of your hips. It's and the more we allow ourselves to just deepen into that being enough, the subtlety being enough. There's so much that can come through there, because then it's like we're finally able to relax out of the mind and fully just come into the body.
Totally.
Not like from the mind, like, I can't hear anything, I don't do it, like, you know, it's not working.
This isn't the correct way of doing this.
Yeah, like, no.
You know, I want to share something that one of my clients said this morning, which was really, you know, profound, but like on point. And she's a really powerful sister, and so inspired by her. She's so deeply working with conscious death, and she's just an amazing woman. And she was saying to me, I really was talking to my partner about how like subtle these teachings are that you're sharing. And she's like, but that's the most important piece of them, is like they're so subtle, but they're also so like vastly like dramatic for other pieces of my life that I don't really notice. It's interesting. I do feel like, of course, we're human beings and human doings, and we have this whole process of going back in and out of our dualities. But I really do feel like that is the still point. It's like, we have the subtlety, which, could be more of the feminine. If you want to go there, it could also be the masculine. We have this subtlety that we're experiencing, that we're wanting to experience, which then creates, when you access that, such an insane amount of like other potential with sexual feelings, intensity, pleasure, joy, and like this pain pleasure piece. It is a dance, and it's sensations and vibrations. It's really mind-blowing where we can go with the simplest things. And even when I was like sharing with our beloved sister the other day just about these teachings of the Grail Gate womb massage, which is in the Venetian temple arts, she was like, it's so simple. Like, it's like I'm doing finger painting. And I'm like, exactly. It's so simple, but it's ridiculous. Cause my ex-husband used to always say, like, the highest form of sophistication is simplicity. And I was like, it really is. And I feel like when you find your sweet spot with that, whether it be, from any lineage, Taoism, the different cultures of the Hinduism, whatever it is, it does all come back to this still point of that being like your gateway into that piece of merging. Like, you're literally merging with those other pieces of yourself, and they're coming back into you. It's such a dance. I'm really grateful for these teachings, so that's what they've taught me more than ever, is that there is like, this is real divine union, this is the real union, and this is the trinity within my holy divinity of the teachings that we have been like, we've literally been like separated from these teachings. We think about like the Holy Father is like, even like the prayers that we go through with Christianity and different things, like the prayers are so like focused on different things. And I just feel like the more that we can find that still point, unite back in with that Holy Trinity. And what I mean by Holy Trinity is the divinity within your own body. A lot of people speak about the innate intuition and calming the mind and meditation. And for me, I work deeply with the heart, the womb, and the yoni. And I feel like once these are in sync, even just with the heart and the womb, this doesn't even have a journey that it's going through anymore, because the intuition's tapped back on, the relaxing's tapped back on, the mind chatter is gone. You're connecting. The best way that I can recommend anyone to deepen into this, if you're like, okay, well, I don't hear womb voices, I don't hear this kind of stuff, how could I even make that accessible, is doing some sort of practice. And this is going to be, what I'm sharing with you ladies, that does connect you to your heart, does connect you to your womb, syncs them both up, and then move into the work with your dreams, move into the void spaces and listen to that space, because usually we're listening to the wrong spaces of our information, and they're tapped back into like, the matrix consciousness. We have to unplug from that consciousness and plug back into Mama Gaia Sophia consciousness to even be able to receive this nutrients. That's what honoring your body as a temple does. That's what, becoming a sovereign being does. And, we really are through these ages of looking outside of ourselves to receive the right information. And it's like, when we find a template of teachings, or what I like to call it is a temple template. When you find a temple template for your body that reactivates these pieces, you then are like sovereign. It's things are going to happen. You're going to still have like problems and dramas to a degree, but you're not affected by them, and they're not taking over your being. And, of course I haven't fully mastered this, and it's why my dharma is this journey. But I really do feel like the pathway into that is the body. It isn't the mind. Yes, meditation is key. I personally have always struggled with meditation. I've never been able to really I've never found that deep state of like, oh yeah, like I'm there. In stillness, I found it in my body. I found it in self-pleasuring. I found it in connecting to like my heart and my breast, and knowing that as being a sacred sovereign like container of myself. I've connected to it through deep dark pilgrimages into my blood moon journey, where I've just like died and been reborn and met my ancestors. I've found it in giving birth to my son, and these have all been moving things. These have all been very moving, sometimes intense, sometimes very subtle emotions, you know. And I just feel like the more that we can, you know, be water priestesses, so to speak, you know, this is a, you know, being in alignment with the emotions of your ocean. It really is what a water priestess is to me. It's really what Mary Magdalene is. It really is what the rose priestess line is tending our temple and being in love with whatever emotion wants to arise, instead of being like, oh my God, I don't want to feel this. Oh my God, this jealousy. Oh my God, this fucking anger. Like, no, all emotions are sacred. They're only not sacred, and they only become destructive if you don't know how to channel them, or you don't know how to be with them, or you don't know how to move them in some way that becomes healthy. And, you know, speaking from a true queen who's had some major anger issues in her journey, you know, yeah, I was like, I think that comes from the land down under in Australia has had a lot of rape and like turmoil, and I feel like being from specific countries that have experienced that high level of just degrading the feminine culture, which is most lands, we feel like this really like earth shaking anger.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I still work with that more than anything, but it's about finding an outlet for that. And honestly, the biggest piece for me has just been like loving it, being like, it's okay for you to scream like a crazy banshee and be Kalima. That's a part of sacred as well. And if no one else agrees with that, that doesn't matter. That's still part of leadership, you know, is all of those pieces. So, you know, it's like an infinite reservoir of of acceptance and vulnerability. And, you know, I say this out loud because of course every day this is my journey, this is my dharma as well. It's like just finding tools to help you soothe that and be with that. And, you know, really rose is the ultimate balm for me to just to be with that and to heal that and to soften into that, but also to strengthen my boundaries as well, so I don't have to fucking feel that shit from other people. Because a lot of times, if you are watching this and you are resonating with this, you're probably super empathic, highly sensitive, and probably at this place of developing all of your senses to a degree of like, you know, being psychic, clairvoyant. And these are just pieces that we need to definitely learn practices for, to seal our field and to be encapsulated in what it is that we really are here, you know, to be in a living space from. So, you know, along with these teachings and along with this, it is really about like, I mean, I was just telling Lilia, like last year, just before I went into this little chrysalis process, I bought myself like a huge sword. Like it's like a replica of the Templar of the Night sword that I can't even barely pick up. I can now, I couldn't before. And this felt like appropriate for me because it's a part of like that discernment and that peace. And that's really one of the pieces that I feel like many women haven't been empowered to take on, because then we become so sovereign and so powerful and so just like anchored in that there isn't much wavering after we get those soften and the strengthening balance. It's like, what's going to happen next? You know, it's like, it's infinite. So
this woman is dangerous. She's so powerful and sovereign and self-loving.
Yeah.
Dangerous in the best way.
Exactly. You know, it's like sometimes self-loving does look like cutting all your cords and like having some crazy, like eccentric, divine boundaries that you may not have ever imagined that you would create for yourself. Like, you know, self-love doesn't just look like drawing yourself a bath and getting a massage. And that's like such an illusion. And like so many of us are talking about that right now. And like, I just started this Magdalene Muse offering. It's a free monthly offering to go into the Rose Temple of Divine Union, which is really like what we speak about, is like we're looking outside of ourselves, you know, for validation, for love all the time. But sometimes self-love can just be super gangster, like priestess mafia style, where you're just like cutting that person out. Bye. You know, like, you know, it could be anything. And again, that's when the listening comes into play, where, you know, which allows us to even be in that platform of leading anything in our life, leading a movement, leading a family, like anything that you want to lead right now, it's important to, dance within those realms and dance within the duality of that and make peace with that. It's something that I'm really deeply right now. I'm in this beautiful initiation of Magdalene of the Rose I'm holding space for as well. And we just entered the Black Rose temple, and we have the White Rose tending in the Black Rose temple, and we're still learning how to dance with the two, and none of them is like, not one or the other is bad. Like it's it's oscillation between these two tendings of the Black and the White Rose teachings. So it's a peaceful warrior journey.
Oh, it is, Mama. You just answered all my questions. I didn't even have to ask.
Yeah, it's that with me and you are like
yeah, and I've just been sitting here with just goosebumps, soul shivers all over me this whole time, feeling Magdalene, and yeah, I'm really grateful.
Yeah, she's so strongly with us right now. It's such a blessing. Like, we're in this time of such deep connection with these deities. It's really divine. It's an honor to be walking this way of the rose, and just, we're so privileged, to be in this incarnation where like we're actually getting the opportunity to embody this, in our bodies, and be with all what that is. And it's fun, it's playful, it's beautiful, it's it can be whatever we want it to be. So
thank you, Mama. And I'm sure everybody listening that you could just hear in everything that Shona was sharing, feminine leadership, the vulnerability, the listening, the embracing the shadow, the rage, the death, the darkness, the self-love, the boundaries, all of it showing up fully human, fully divine. My last question is why now? For a woman listening, or any being listening that's feeling the call to step into their feminine leadership, whatever that looks like for them. Why now?
I have Mary Magdalene in my ear, like always speaking, but she comes through a lot and shares this last piece with me a lot lately. And she's been sharing with me a lot lately how important it is for us to be like completely overflowing in our essence, and like completely just like pouring forth that nectar for self, for sovereignty, but to be completely empty as well, and to just be completely empty and available to be a conduit for her and for whatever the Divine Mother wants to move through us. And that really is what the medicine is right now, is that this is the last piece that she always shares with me. I'm always laughing about this. I'm still trying to like be with this. She's always like, there's no rush, but there's not a moment to waste. And I'm always like, what does that even mean? It means so many things.
Yeah.
I feel that, there isn't a rush to be anywhere at any given time. But there really isn't a moment to waste. Like, the women are needed right now, and they're needed through all walks of life, and leadership can look many different ways. It could look really different to what it looks like for me or for Lily, and for anybody on this. It's like, again, that deep listening of leadership is nourishing. If you're in the right alignment with leadership, it's nourishing for you as it is for other people. And if it's not, then there needs to be a deeper listening. So I just feel like, I feel like either those two pieces, like overflowing, right? I mean, I'm not always overflowing and fully giving forth, but when I'm not in that place, I know I need to stop and and empty,
fill up,
process, and be empty to receive, whatever it is. And there is a balance, but there isn't any rush, but there's not a moment to waste.
I feel that. Thank you.
It's so funny. It's like all these giggles.
It's life, right? So many contradictions, but we're holding it all.
Yeah.
The layers, complexities of it. I know that you have another beautiful gift, really powerful gift to share with everybody.
Yes, beloved. So this is just like a little tester. It's a 3-part video series where you can, there is, just warning, there is nudity, and there is like a centrally empowered aspect of my being that wanted to come through to share these pieces. So that could promote some triggering. It's a a beautiful breast massage practice, an introduction to it to start with. And it's a temple tending and connecting with the rose and anointing your body and clearing your body. And then it's a little introduction to the Grail Gates womb massage. So it's introduction to the rose heart breast massage and the Grail Gates womb massage, which is two of the main templates within the manuscript that I'm almost complete with. And so these are Venetian temple arts practices, and they're just like taste testers. So it's nothing, there is a lot of juju in there and information, you could go deeper with it. But if it's just like something simple, like a few practices you want to be able to just put into your journey right now to just try it out, that's there as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to share that with you all. It's really special. It's actually recorded, I think, when you were with us. Yeah. I think Lily was actually on Kauai when that was recorded, so that's kind of magical.
Yay.
Yeah, it's magical.
That's so powerful. And yeah, I encourage all of you to at least try it. I know for me, like the first probably like 5 times I gave myself a self breast massage. I cried so much, grief was releasing from my heart. But oh man, such a powerful, beautiful practice to just dive deep in with yourself and allow yourself to be wherever you're at on that journey, even if it feels like you're in your head or awkward or whatever in the beginning. Just keep going.
Yeah. And I would love to share too one other piece. So later on this year, we're finally anchored in the temple space. We're doing a Venetian temple arts training. So it's a training where you can learn these techniques for yourself, or also just for your own embodiment, or if you want to take this deeper and do this work with other women. There's a whole template and the manuscript that's come through. And again, these aren't my teachings. These are from Venus. I'm just available and have been open to receive these teachings. And again, this is something that I want to just have. I want so many women to be doing it, and just to be able to go anywhere in the world, like, can I get a session with you? And I can't actually keep up right now with people who want to do sessions with me, and I'm actually taking a break from it. So there is a lot of there's a lot of people in the field who I already feel like carry these teachings, so deeply. They're so deeply ingrained. It's just a reactivation and a remembrance. And really excited to invite people to Kauai again, because it seems to be, I'm still not leaving here for a while.
I want to come back. Thank you.
Yes, please come back. Yeah. You can even come back for that if you want, my love. We would love your help.
Okay, let's talk about it. Oh, breathing that in, anchoring that deep into our hearts and our wombs. Oh, thank you so much, sister. This is actually the longest one we've done. There was just so much pouring through you. I couldn't stop you. Thank you. Yeah, and we would love to hear from you. What did you feel arising as you were receiving this transmission from Shona? And we invite you to share with us, and invite you to just drop deep into the rose womb heart that lives within you. Much love, and we'll see you soon.